Guys. So today's screencast is about how to plan the counterargument paragraph. This is usually the third body paragraph in an argumentative essay, which addresses the opposite argument / claim and then refutes it or provides a rebuttal to it or shoots it down. So why is it important to have a counterargument paragraph anyway? One reason is that it shows not everyone will agree with you and you understand why. And by anticipating disagreement with your argument, you can further argue for your position and convince your reader. So here are the steps for writing a counterargument paragraph. Step 1 is to begin, by addressing a counterclaim. You can try one of these sentence starters and you can hit pause if you'd like now to use one. For instance, you could start your sentence, "It can be argued that," and then you'd say the counterclaim, the opposite of your claim. Or, "Admittedly, some people will believe the opposite of your claim," right? So here's an example that I put in my example graphic organizer, which is on Google Classroom. I said, "Critics will argue that binge watching a show is less exciting than watching it episode by episode, week by week." So this is sort of addressing the counterclaim that binge watching is great. Okay? It says, critics will argue that it's less exciting to watch TV this way. So this is my counterclaim. Now, step 2 is to provide evidence that supports the counterclaim. While it seems weird to use evidence that supports the opposite of your claim, it is still important to acknowledge that the opposing reason you presenting is valid, okay, and that some people will disagree with you. So here's an example of some evidence that supported this counterclaim I had here. Quote, "In a binge-watching society, the pleasure of anticipation is lost." And this comes from a Newsella article. So it sort of backs up the idea that binge watching is less exciting than regular watching TV on cable. Step 3 of writing or planning this counterargument paragraph is to refute or rebut or shoot down the counterclaim. So you explain when the counterclaim and evidence still aren't enough to prove that the opposite of your claim is true. You should use a turnaround transition word like one of the following: "But, however, on the other hand, while this may be true, ... and so forth." So here's an example of how I refuted this counterclaim that it's less exciting to binge watch than to regular watch. I just said simply, "However, this is a very subjective and false idea. Binge watching," I could add, "is just as exciting as watching on regular cable." So step 4, and actually why don't I write that in here? Binge watching is just as exciting as watching TV on regular cable once per week. Okay. Step 4 is to provide evidence for your side. So you give evidence that supports your refutation or rebuttal, and that means you're really supporting your side one last time. So my evidence was, quote, "While binge watching, the viewer can feel the pleasure of full immersion, of being in the zone. Binge watching, therefore, allows the reader or the viewer to feel even more connected to ever more complex characters." Step 5 for this paragraph would be to elaborate / conclude your counterargument. So you end your counterargument paragraph with a concluding statement that reinforces your point of view against the counterclaim and opposing reason. I've sort of done that here by explaining the quote. I could add another sentence in here, though, I noticed, that explains full immersion is often more exciting than weekly viewing. And so now I've got 2 sentences worth of elaboration upon this quote. That's all for today's screencast, guys. I hope you found this helpful. You can view these slides on Google Classroom, and good luck.